Robin was pushing it hard.
All right, we're live, folks. We're gonna get started.
Artie's retiring.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go through the calendar. We're live, folks. I'm starting. I'm just gonna go through the calendar, just so everybody's aware of what is or is not going on. So all of these were postponed this morning, every bill on the calendar for today. Some committees are meeting to try to come to some resolution. I know several of these are Senate proposal of amendment coming back to us. So S-208, as everyone's aware, has been hanging out on this calendar forever. May or may not go today. I am not sure. The only thing I know is that the governor does not know yet whether he will veto or not. And if you know the governor, he keeps it close to his vest and makes the decision at the last minute. So he has not made a decision yet on S-208. S-212 had a few amendments that we already knew had gone through committee, and one, the Olson amendment, will be withdrawn, and the Greer amendment, my understanding is, came out 4-7 unfavorable along party lines, and Representative Greer still intends to offer the amendment on the floor. The next one is the Tagliavia amendment, and is Michael here?
They're up in Ways and Means.
Up in Ways and Means now. And so my understanding on this one is it came out unfavorable along party lines again,
Yep, all three.
4-7.
There were only three of us there. So.
Oh, so
Three,
3-6-3-7-1. Okay, so I have not talked to Mike Tagliavia whether he's going to present and withdraw or present and have it go through vote on the floor. I have no idea. But we will hear from him. I'll once he's done, or maybe he'll be done before we get to the end of this, and he can tell us what his thoughts are. Lisa.
You said Greer's amendment came out all party lines. Was that Republicans voting for Greer's
No,
amendment?
yes, 4-7 unfavorable, yes.
And just had a little.
And the same with the Tagliavia, 3 yes.
Yes, it's just
7 no,
Greer's
1
party, so I had to ask.
correct, yes.
A&R is in favor of Greer's amendment. A&R is not in favor of Tagliafia's.
Okay,
Little.
okay.
Well, why should they be? Because they don't have to have any responsibility for their bad actions. That's the only way I can say it without using bad language. Excuse me.
Thank you for that.
Can I ask a question? So if A&R is in favor of the Greer amendment, why are the other 7 against it? Because it didn't come from your committee and they're just throwing a temper tantrum?
Yeah, that's.
Actually, there's some confliction between that committee and A&R in general. There's been lots of changes that A&R has submitted to that committee, and every single time it's been killed. Even when they pass it out of the committee, the bill gets killed.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, so you're right on time, Representative Tagliavia, because we're on your amendment. We've already explained that it passed out of your committee 3 yeses, all Republicans, 7 noes, and 1 absent, which I'm assuming is 1 Republican absent.
Yes.
So, and we're just told that you are up in Ways and Means, and if you have that vote, you can let us know and then tell us your sense.
Should I sit here?
Yes, you can be the witness.
Yeah, get used to it.
State your name.
Mike Tagliavia, Orange 1. Yes, I just did with one of my co-sponsors, Representative Lipsky. We presented in Ways and Means, and I think we made a pretty decent impression, except that we got into a lot of technical stuff, and because of that, Ways and Means elected to take a pass. They did not take a vote on.
Is that?
Means we didn't think we had enough information to take a vote, so we didn't take a vote.
Can you do that?
We did it. I mean,
So does it hold up the amendment at all? Is my question.
I don't
Or
believe so.
postpone the,
No, you know what? I don't know that. I guess I'm gonna have to check with the clerk.
okay.
So as soon as we adjourn, yeah,
It wasn't even stopped.
No, and again, our purview is looking at what's the possibility, how much money could we possibly lose in state revenue because of this amendment?
Okay.
I'm not sure what these amendments do.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
well, as I tried to explain in both my committee, Environment Committee, and in Ways and Means, the main gist of it is to give relief and predictability to the process.
Yeah, and I believe it's in your email from last night.
Yeah, it is. We had one person I spoke with from Southern Vermont had an issue with this, was in the tens of thousands of dollars after the fact because of a visit from DEC and an assessment. There was one in Hardwick I was told about, one in Sutton, I believe, Representative Southworth and Nelson know about. And one of them was the initial assessment was $60,000, but it was reduced to $30,000. With, on top of that, there was an $8,000 fee to a consultant that DEC disagreed with. So the reason, like I said, imagine. Okay.
Just to be clear, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ways and Means looks at what the cost is
Yes.
to the state.
Yes.
They don't really care
Oh, no.
what happens to the public.
Well, since I represent a rural district, I take it from a different stand. So that's why I'm presenting it the way I'm presenting.
Yeah, it's true.
So
So, okay, Woody had a question.
What was the vote out of environment?
it was 3 in favor and 7 against.
1.
And one,
371.
Just Larry Labor's out.
Yes.
so it probably would have been 4-7, similar to the Greer amendment.
Right.
Okay,
Most likely.
Wayne,
Mike and I talked a little bit this morning about this, and I have concerns. I recognize the problem, and I'm not sure that this is the solution I would choose. And I'm hesitant, not knowing all the details that are going on at A&R. But the really becomes an issue is if someone, say your neighbor, you've built something, a house, you get the permits to build a house. And after the fact, your neighbor decides to sue you or go to A&R and try to get it changed. Well, that's wrong, but the issue becomes party status. And who has party status and when does party status begin and end? And I think a better way to fix this would be to say, okay, if you didn't engage during the permitting process and have party status, then after a permit has been issued, thou shalt not. Back again.
is this so one of these, and I don't remember which one it is, either the Greer or yours about the wetlands?
That's technically is.
That's yours.
Yeah, in the class 2
So
level.
that's the issue I have with it, that you are permitted by, and I gave you the suggestion that what they could do, attaching the current wetlands map to your permit.
I asked that and there was still a question of whether the engineers would be less likely to develop a plan and put their seal on it for fear of repercussions from open fire. So I don't know how much weight, but I need to stress 212 is a good bill, whether this amendment is attached or any of the amendments. It's a good bill. I voted for it. It came out 11-0. I am not trying to sully a good bill. I just thought that this amendment, as well as my co-sponsors, thought it would improve it.
So I think you probably, I mean, I don't know if you, I know, my understanding is Greer will offer it. I'm not sure where you are on it, but I think to be fair, you should reach out to your other 2 co-sponsors.
I already have, and they've said they will go with what, because I was the original sponsor, they will go with what I think. I've been getting a lot of encouragement, so I think I'm going to go forward
Okay.
and just let the cards fall where they may.
Okay. Yep. Richard,
I'll give you a real life scenario. A young family gets a piece of land, gives it to them, they get the permit, they put the septic where it goes, they put the well where it goes, they build their house. DEC comes in and says, your septic is in a wetland, after they put it where they were told to put it. The woman, and I won't say woman in my floor speech, the inspector from DEC said to them, you will fix this, or I will make you tear down your house in front of their two little kids. Their bedside manner sucks. They need to be reined in. They don't understand. This was a travesty all the way around, and it cost that young family a lot of money. And I believe that's the $30,000 one. And they're a young, she's a farmer's daughter, and he's a semen jockey. He's got to jockey a lot of semen to cover that. Cow semen, whole semen.
I didn't know if you were absolutely.
You're original, that's fine, it's fine, it's the original way up.
Later 17 or, yeah,
I'm over here behind.
okay, okay.
Clarity, my amendment makes no reference to that.
Okay, all right, does anybody else have any other questions on S212? Gina, and well, Lynn, then Gina.
Okay, my understanding with Greer's is that this is a thing where they go and you can allow your water or your septic to be
Isolation zones.
on somebody else's land as a backup.
No, it's not really a backup. What that is when,
Encroachment.
yeah, when there's a septic design on your neighbor's land, there's the isolation zone where the subsurface water is probably gonna run. And I have this, a letter was sent to me. I know exactly what they're talking about, and I know the engineer, and I asked him about it. And he said, they have to notify everybody, the adjoining neighbors, and it's for where they suspect how far that subsurface water is gonna travel. And in smaller properties, it could become an issue, and we have a representative in this caucus who can tell you all about it.
And wells are even worse because they don't have to notify you, and they just back well truck up and poke a hole, and now it's affected the property owner on the other side.
Okay.
Yes, it actually can go across,
Property,
property line, it goes across streets.
oh, yeah,
It can go
it
across,
could.
right, because we've had it happen to our property. And if you only have like 5 days to respond, and if you miss the letter or you don't respond in the 5 days, it basically does not allow you to put a well or a septic wherever they've got it.
Yeah, isolation zones cannot overlap. We asked that in committee. They
Yeah,
cannot
and the
overlap.
issue is that it's basically taking land, really, to
It
take.
is, they're taking without comment.
So the way I read Will's thing is that you don't allow isolation zone. Is that what he's trying to do?
I think, I don't recall exactly, but I thought he was looking for compensation.
What exactly does it do?
It's just asking for a study from the technical advisory committee within A&R to analyze this and provide recommendations. And that's the sticking point, is he's asking for A&R to provide recommendations on compensation and rules for land, property rights. Well, that's outside of their normal jurisdiction. A&R doesn't have jurisdiction over compensation and property rights. So I think that's where the pushback is coming from. If he had just slightly modified, and I recommended this to him 2 days ago, slightly modified his amendment to say that the technical advisory committee should provide data for the House to be able to make compensation and land rights decisions. It's our responsibility to make compensation and land rights. That's not A&R's responsibility to provide recommendations. But their counsel,
in judiciary finally, they did not get to vote.
I'm sure the A and R council. would
They thought they were ready.
touch that in 10-foot pole. Right, because that's not in the. I think that's the.
So that what? Majority is. They think it's just shadowing an isolation zone.
That could be.
Did they vote against it because they don't, is it your argument that A&R doesn't have the authority to do this, or did they vote against because they like the way it is now?
I think it's because they don't like the technical advisory committee's authority, that's too broad an authority to offer them.
Lisa, and then Greg. Not Lisa, I'm sorry, I'm looking right up, Gina.
Can we get roll calls on these? I know.
Yeah, we are, I think we're doing Will Greer's.
Yes.
So,
I'll leave it up to the caucus. What do you think? I'll leave it up to the caucus.
On Greer's amendment, A and R definitely does not have the authority.
well, they're voting and they are in favor of
They're
the
actually.
amendments.
Really?
They said they were,
Yes. Right, in favor.
Yes.
I don't care if it's a
This has been going on for 15 years.
Yeah.
Why not?
15 years.
So long, yeah, this is not new.
They're very familiar with this, and they're already studying it, this is not out of their wheelhouse, they're already looking at it, it's just that additional phrase that's in there in Will's amendment about recommendations on compensation of land.
Okay, so is the flavor of the caucus to roll call it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
The Greer one.
Yeah. the Greer one.
Well, the Greer one and, well, the Greer one is this amendment.
Yes.
Okay,
To be clear,
To make
the
right-
rear amendment has A&R support.
Right.
And it also has.
We have one who's talking.
Has our rural folks in support of it as well.
Gina.
That was it.
That's it? Okay. Anyone else on SG 12? All set on that one? Okay. 8639, Mike Marcotte.
So, committee took this up, there was a Senate proposal of amendment, this is genetic data privacy bill. That passed out of here, Senate took it up, they sent it back with proposal of amendment that, they included a cure period. So we had originally looked at a cure period when we, discussed the bill, we decided not to include it. I talked with the chair of the committee, and I said, yeah, we can go along with that. They sent it back over. However, what they did was they created a cure period for everything. And our committee stance is that when you have genetics involved, your genetic data, once it's out of the bag, you can't bring it back in again. And so that's our position. They got a little hot under the collar because Allison and I had an agreement to pass it and not go to conference. So we've been holding it up. I was scheduled to go in there this morning. They pushed me off. So we're going to include an amendment that does just that. That includes a 60-day cure period for everything except for the genetic data, and send it back to them and see what they want to do.
So that will that come to the floor today then?
Yeah,
Okay.
we took a vote, straw vote was 11-0.
You have the amendment already?
Yes, it's been emailed to everyone already.
Okay, great. Okay,
It's under Bolson.
okay.
Mike, just real quick, can you just define what the cure period is?
Yep, so anything other than genetic data, so if they don't provide any pieces that are in the privacy notice, they have to do that, or they haven't included it, and somebody wants to file a lawsuit against them, of course, they have to have damages too. But if they do, they have 60 days to cure it. So
That's the window.
they can fix it, and then the lawsuit goes away or it can't get filed. Those are the types of things. Except for the genetic data.
Except for genetics, okay.
Can I just ask a question? It's a process question. So what you're doing is you're furthering the amendment of the Senate's amendment
Correct.
instead of either concurring or going to conference. You can do that?
Yep. Yes. You've done it just in the last day or two on some.
The plan was we were gonna go to conference, Because we figured it was an easier way of doing it without holding things up, and they're busy over there, but they were upset that we were gonna do that, so I held it and decided this is the route we'll go, and we'll send it to them, and then it's up to them what they want to do.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions of Mike? No? Okay, thanks, Mike. So H 816, I believe, came out of healthcare or is in healthcare. So Valerie, give us an update?
This is HX 816 is
Regulating the use of artificial intelligence in the provision of mental health services.
so it is being amended because the definitions around mental health services needs to be amended, and therapy or psychotherapy services needs to be
I didn't hear that last part.
therapy or psychotherapy services. So this kind of revolves around the use of chat boxes. And right now, it's the way the bill is written, it's too broad and defines many different, it confines everybody who does use it, just say healthcare professional, because, and any of my chair mates can help me out here. This is all new, but it's too restricting as it is right now, and they need to change. So they need to change the definitions a little bit, and we will be going to conference with this and amending that.
Are you not going to amend? Are you going straight to a
It's
committee
not.
of conference?
It's not going to be amended, it's gonna go.
It's going to a committee of
They
conference.
assign the people.
Oh, so that's what you're gonna do today. You're gonna not concur and you're gonna ask for a committee of conference. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, and now we have third reading on the tobacco S-198. Is there anything, is there anybody here, an amendment on that? Committee. Is there an amendment on that?
There's an amendment on it that I saw was.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's an amendment from Ways and Means. It's just.
Only Kornheiser.
Oh, Kornheiser amended?
It just changes, it changes the, who is gonna, which agency is gonna
Oh,
do the
right.
study.
Yes,
It's changed from
the
the tax
AG,
department to
the
the
AG, okay.
Yeah, that's all that is.
Okay. And then did it vote out favorably?
Yes, Ways and Means.
Ways and Means.
Yeah, it came out of
Go to
Congress,
GovOps?
0.
Does that have to go to GovOps?
No,
No?
no, it originated in Commerce,
Oh, it did?
GovOps did a drive-by,
Okay,
then it went to Human Services,
yeah,
and
okay,
then to Ways and Means.
okay, great. All righty, and then the last one on for today is H 944, which is the transportation bill?
That's
T-bill,
a T-bill.
T-bill coming back with a proposal of amendment from the Senate.
So we are going to go to a committee conference. The biggest issues are mileage-based user fee. The House position will be to keep it to battery electric vehicles. The Senate wants to go to hybrids and eventually to all internal combustion engines, and we are not ready to go that far.
How was the pilot funds?
The pilot funds related to the town highways and whatnot is been pulled. The Senate put it in the big bill. It's in the big bill. The budget related to local option tax money to go back to help town highway and town structures was in the transportation bill in the Senate, and it was moved over to the big bill. Senator Westman, Senator Perchlik are both on transportation and appropriations. So that will not come through transportation. It will come through the big bill or not. It'll be part of that budget conversation. Miscellaneous tax has the purchase and use issues related to whether, how we're going to fund transportation, taking down and changing the percentage. Right now, everywhere it's 2/3 goes to transportation, 1/3 to education. That numbers will change to 73-27, but the Senate version doesn't do that. It's got $10 million out of general fund and not the purchase and use. So that's in miscellaneous tax. So that's not going to get settled in the T-bill either. So those are the two biggest financial issues.
related to transportation are not getting solved in the transportation division at all.
Great.
I'd say just, I noise, putting in an amendment, I don't know if it's on that or another bill about,
Cycles.
yeah, well, yeah, so you only have to get your inspection done every other year. Is that on that bill or is that on a different one?
It hasn't been brought to committee at this point. I haven't seen anything about it or heard anything about that. There was a bill passed from the Senate earlier this year that sits on the wall in transportation to move inspections to every other year.
Well, I hear that's from,
Yeah, noise.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, no. We would be against it and most likely in the transportation committee.
Michael.
Did you guys remove the motorcycle issue?
It's in
In the
DMV.
miscellaneous motor vehicle bill, the stamp issue related to the EPA stamp being a requirement of motorcycles is not in the House version. The House version went with an effort from Representative Keiser to focus on the motorcycle inspection related to whether it has or has not been chopped or has not, the baffles have been taken out, the regular inspection process. The Senate version has the stamp piece, ours does not.
Is that what John Lyons was talking about?
John, Harley Davidson Wilkins Harley Davidson testified that they did not think the stamp was the way to go. It would increase inspection costs and delays on motorcycles. We took the stamp piece out and replaced it with different language. It's not requiring the stamp in this House version on miscellaneous motor vehicle.
As we talked about the two pieces that went to the big bill, what were they and how much?
The pieces meaning the
Transferred the funding.
purchase and use taxes in the miscellaneous tax bill or the yield bill in 933. That is the difference of bringing sending less money over to education from purchase and use. That's not in the T bill. It's centers right around $10 million or a change to 7327 instead of 6733. Right now, we're looking, that would change it to 7327. The House version had 1 year. The Senate version has a $10 million adjustment in general fund for this year and not touching purchase and use, right? So they're very different.
Right.
They're not, well, the essence, they get to the same place. Where the money comes from and how it's handled is different.
Yeah, but the ultimate 5-year one.
And the House version is 1 year and the Senate version, I don't believe it has 5 years, but it's not coming through us. So I couldn't tell you exactly what it does or doesn't do on that part.
That's great.
And then what's the other one?
The other one was related to local option taxes and money through after the pilot fund was paid that would then go back to the town highway structures. There is a surplus of $12 million in the pilot fund, and the Senate version in the big bill takes $3 million of that to set up a municipal town highway fund. Started with 3 million from the pilot surplus and then added to every year by 3/4 of whatever surplus was generated in that fund. And that is in the big bill. And there is a breakdown of how much that would mean to each individual town and piece in the big bill. I would certainly comment that of all of the talk of all of the troubles of all the towns and all their needs to upgrade culverts and replace culverts and to prepare for the next big storm, that in that big bill for this money from local option taxes to send this money back to towns to work on town highways. It's the only bill that's come out of this legislature to help towns deal with the costs that they have related to preparing to the next climate related storm. There hasn't been a single other bill that's gotten any money to go back to help town highways prepare and build bigger culverts or deal with the replacements of culverts. There's towns that have been impacted years now that still have no additional help. Now, this isn't enough money to fix everything, but if they were able to fix one more and one more every year, I feel that it's a big deal to go back to try to help the towns, but no other legislation has brought any help anywhere to towns to prepare for the next climate issue. This money through local option tax and after paying the pilot program is some money to help town highways. And this is the only legislation that anybody has come up with to help additional towns. And despite, if you recall, the dozens and dozens of public appearances and phone and interviews and discussions about how we're going to prepare for climate change and we're going to get bigger culverts and we're going to help the towns. There has been nothing. And now there is an effort to kill this particular piece, but it is the only piece that's out and proposed to help town highways deal with this. Thank you.
Lee and then Rob.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question about the local option tax there. Is that socializing the local option tax and reducing what the towns will get back that will keep for their normal local option tax? And number two, does that generalization take into account all the ARPA money that was done and all the other things that we put into mitigation for flooding and all those other things? Time.
Those were all directed at one particular event or not, at one particular flooding or a particular town that had an issue, but nothing to prevent or to prepare for any future climate events that we talked about helping towns prepare for. So all of those funds went to address existing washouts and existing and no longer existing roads and no longer existing bridges, but nothing to help them prepare and replace the culvert problems they have today.
Is there any, because we did it in 2011 with Irene, we did it with ARPA money after 23 and 24. Just, wondering, that's a generalization to say that we haven't done it. The question is we've done a lot. Maybe those were 2 or 3 specific instances, but it was really supposed to prepare lots of places to not have, to mitigate and to prevent this kind of stuff. And then of course, the local option tax, what does that do? Is it still 75% goes to the town or?
It's still a 75-25 split. This is how the 25% that is potentially looking at taking some of that 25 split. And it, so it would be some of the existing plus and a piece of the future years and the growing because 13 more towns added it as of July 1st. We'll be adding to it. There has been some other discussions about changing that to 80-20, but that's not part of the bill today.
To be determined.
Well, I was just going to add, and Matt, correct me if I'm mistaken about this, but there's a pretty short timeline by which towns have to kind of upgrade all their culverts here. So I understood from like 2030 from our meetings with DOT.
In terms of,
they have to upgrade all their culverts in their town that they might have to the next
By 2030.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can say that I know exactly what that piece would be.
Well,
in terms of what the
culvert's this big, they need to upgrade it.
Everybody needs.
Everyone needs to be doing
To
that.
do that, I'm not sure that there's a requirement of a deadline to do.
Like, I'm just kind of sharing information from people who have gotten that information. We can check back.
They're spending FEMA money that they have to spend it within a certain time frame.
So getting more money here.
Yes, from the type of money that Representative Dickinson's talking about, there are deadlines on that. For the type of money that, and I do want to be fair, the state has done a lot of things. So what I am referring to is any help to prepare what they're addressing all of what has happened versus what can happen. And so what we used to call preventative maintenance that now is called climate resiliency.
Okay, that was the last bill on the calendar for today. Does anybody have anything?
I have a question. I've been thinking about this. With all of these different bills that have to go to committee of conference, would it not make sense for the House to break, say next Thursday, Friday? Let the committee of conference people come back the following week only to work on their committee of conferences and then have everybody come back to vote. I mean, it seems crazy that we all come back, then they got to go to committee conference and they come back on the floor. I mean, it's just a cost savings for the state. We would just all get dismissed.
I'm not in charge and I asked that and I don't think the flavor of the speaker or the president's pro tem is to do that. They'd like everyone here to hear because if you're called back on a moment's notice, you're here as opposed to being 3 hours away.
I get that, but there's all these different committees of these bills that have committees of conference. Give them 2 or 3 days to work on them and then come back the following week and knock them out.
I think a lot of people would disagree with it. Ain't gonna happen.
Well, and they've always used the excuse that any of us as members is able to sit in on a conference committee. But if you go into the conference committees, there's very few people that go to that.
They don't want your opinion, and it's not.
I just have one quick thing. I let Patty know here earlier today here that the pre-kindergarten that's on the bill, that's on the notice calendar may be brought up
I
this afternoon
I
here,
have-
just to kind of check it off the list.
And I have not
I
heard.
may
what
have the latest.
will be here.
Well, there's a second one, also, coming out of education, 227 immigration protocols in schools. I was texted this morning that pre-K, S214 and S227 might get pulled off the notice calendar today, but that was before they moved everything to the afternoon.
Right.
So that may, either way, we're ready to go.
All right, so
It should
what,
both be short, quick, easy,
Okay.
bang them out this afternoon.
so what I've heard as a 5012 from the speaker is 214, 660, and S227 possible call-ups.
Yeah.
Have not heard their go yet, and when I do, I'll text everybody to let them know, okay?
Do we have the conference committee scheduled so we know where and when the meeting would sit down if we wanted to?
It should be posted on
They're
the,
posted.
what,
If you go under committees.
I'm looking at, yeah, I'm looking at Nigel.
Okay, thank you.
Nigel,
I don't have a lot of familiarity with the committees of conference, but my understanding is if you go to the relevant bill on the bill status page, if you look at the far right side of the screen at the top of the statuses, there's a label for committee of conference. Click on that and it'll take you to the committee of conference tab for that bill, and the agenda should be posted.
Schedule. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any other?
Encouraged to go to sit in on the conference.
Yes.
You can watch it.
You can watch it as well.
How about it? Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, we will see you at 1.